Another year of 2020, the sequel, another year of movies. Today I'll be talking about my personal favorite films of 2021. Unlike last year where I ranked every movie I watched from worst to best, I'm shifting my focus. I want to end 2021/start 2022 on a more positive note and shed light to movies who deserve it. Besides, I don't think I need to tell you that something like Your Wig and the Witch is bad when there are YouTubers better than me who have entire videos on them. Really, my only rule for this list is as long as it was officially released in the US in 2021, then it's allowed. So Belle, I'm sorry, you look incredible, but you don't come out until later this month and I have to wait until next year's video to see if you truly are. But also, the films on this list are ones I genuinely have interest in and want to talk about if I have something to say, so expect a number of indie and international films that will hopefully interest you. That means Dune won't be on this list because I kinda sorta don't really care to. Sorry. I already have full videos on some of the movies I'm talking about, so if you want to know more about my thoughts, feel free to click the cards or the links in the description. You know, after watching this video, gotta have that high audience retention in order to please the algorithm. This isn't a top 10 video where the order of movies isn't super particular, but at the same time my top picks are near the end of the video, you know? Also, I just got Premiere Pro and I'm still trying to figure it out, so expect some more
wacky editing in the future.
There's only so much you can do on iMovie on mobile. So let's begin, shall we? But can I just say that Arcane is an honorable mention? I mean, yeah, it's a show and not a movie, but I didn't finish it until I was in the middle of editing this, which is why it's taking a couple extra days and no one will come out, but that is one of the best things I watched from 2021. Okay, now we can begin and start the list. Fun, hilarious, action-packed, overall well-crafted movie that I'll probably never watch again. But at the same time I would watch a sequel or follow-up if we ever get one eventually. I don't know how much longer I can say this when I appreciate stuff like Perfect Blue and Primal, but I just do not like gore. I knew it was R-rated going in. This was actually my first ever R-rated movie I saw by myself in the theater. I mean, call me crazy, but I don't want to see a shot of an internal organ be pierced or see a man's face completely torn off. I know a lot of people want to see superhero movies go beyond what we usually see, and I do admire that. It's just not my thing. I prefer my movie violence to be PG-13 at most, alright, sue me. But Olivia, if you knew it was violent, then why'd you go see it? Because I'm a DCEU apologist, okay? Yeah, a lot of their movies aren't great, but I still want to see them succeed. But also, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn was the main reason I was looking forward to it. She's amazing. I mean, look at her. She's so pretty.
I'm a princess.
Her yelling, "I'm walking back and forth," made me laugh harder than anything from the 2016 movie. This movie is funny. I was laughing at tons of jokes while gathering footage.
Ratatouille, what do you got?
James Gunn's direction was amazing. From the very opening shot, the cinematography is so much more advanced than the previous film. I really liked it, even though those kinds of shots usually annoy me because they make me feel like cheaty Janet.
Where is down?
But it's the characters in the Suicide Squad that are utterly fantastic. Harley Quinn, I mean, she was the main focus of that montage intro, so I think that says everything. King Shark, he was a lot more memorable and surprisingly sympathetic compared to the only other place I've seen him, the Flash TV show, so I call that a win. Friggin' Polka Dot Man, who James Gunn included because he's on top of a bunch of worst DC villains lists, that's iconic. And Ratcatcher, two. She was the emotional core of this movie. I was not expecting to love her as much as I did. And Ratcatcher the First is freaking Taika Waititi, what? Oh, and Lil Sebastian has now been added to my list of favorite fictional rats. A small list, but a good one.
He's offering you a pretty leaf to show you it means no harm.
What for? But I want to leave.
Oh, yeah, and Viola Davis? Give her an Oscar, please. There's so many little things I like. Using elements in that world for time or location cards, chapter titles is awesome. And that helmet shot, are you bloody kidding? It was also scary not knowing who was going to make it out alive and added some serious stakes. Yeah, I knew Harley was going to be fine, but I didn't care since I'm one of the many who want to see more of her. It's nice to know Warner Brothers gave Gunn most, if not all, creative freedom for this film. It's almost like more studio execs should give the directors a chance to direct.
This coming from a man who wears a toilet seat on his head? Oh.
So during quarantine, I discovered a Chinese animated movie called White Snake, which serves as a prequel to one of China's oldest and most famous legends. And thus I was introduced to the world of Donghua, Chinese animation. This also meant I was introduced to Jiangxia. It's set in the same universe as Ne Zha, one of the highest grossing films in China, which will set up an entire Chinese mythology cinematic universe. The next edition is Deep Sea, which, what the fork, might just rival Spider-Verse's visuals. Anyway, Jiangxia. A commander named, well, Jiangxia, who I think kind of looks like a rugged version of Tulio, has to kill a 9-tailed fox demon upon realizing its life is linked to the soul of a young innocent girl. I'll admit the story can be kind of hard to follow, especially the opening scene, which that alone is worth the watch. I can't believe animation like this was created by humans. But all I know about Chinese mythology is what I've seen from these movies, and even then they take Disney-level creative liberties. I don't know, I'm not exactly head over heels about it, but I do appreciate it, and not just on a technical level. It's a promising start to Chinese animation that could very well rival America and Japan this decade. Okay, but that post-credit scene is a 10 out of 10. A French animated film based on a Japanese manga quietly dropped on Netflix at the tail end of November. Alongside I Lost My Body, it looks like Netflix had some pretty good taste when it comes to distributing animated features from France. The first 30 minutes are pretty slow. I wasn't exactly sure which direction the movie was going, but then boom, things go from 0 to 100. Admittedly, the most memorable parts are when the characters are mountain climbing. The dialogue is dialed back, especially during the third act. It gets intense, and the landscapes of mountains are absolutely stunning. That's when the movie reaches its peak. When it's scenes of characters talking, I'm just kind of like, eh. However, I still think it has potential to be nominated for that Best Animated Feature category we all have a love-hate relationship with. I'm not going to go into too much detail about Encanto since I just did a review on it and I'm planning a commentary. Just know that it's nice to see it on Disney Plus a month after its release. A lot more people are talking about it now than ever before. Also, I didn't give the clothing physics in the movie enough justice. Just look at this reference footage. Genuinely not really sure whether or not I like this over Encanto, but I will admit Raya has more flaws because of the missed potential of what could have been. I was so hyped for it leading up to its release, and since then I realized it doesn't really live up to those expectations. Even the glimpses of never-before-seen footage released in the underrated Disney Plus series Animation teases something more, doesn't it? Maybe it's just leftover finished shots from a previous draft of the script when Cassie Steele was still voicing Raya. Think about it, Raya was a different movie when Cassie was cast. All I know is that it went through major changes with its character and plot, and Kelly Marie Tran signed on instead. Could it have been better than what we got? Who knows if we'll know, you know? Still think Sisu's original design was better. I will die on this hill. I would call myself a casual theater kid. I've only been in a couple of productions, seen a handful, and listened to a few soundtracks, and went to Denny's to celebrate a final show. Even then, I loved this movie, despite not knowing it was about the creative front until I watched it. I just thought it was an original musical by Lin-Manuel Miranda about a guy who literally heard a mysterious ticking noise. I didn't know it was a metaphor. I haven't listened to the soundtrack by itself yet, though I've had Boho Days stuck in my head this entire time. Tell me I'm not the only one who thought Andrew Garfield was going to start belting Dog Days Are Over by Florence and the Machine based on that intro. Speaking of Andrew Garfield, he absolutely shines in this performance. He better get recognition for it in award shows. I also loved the cameos in this movie, the few that I recognized. Of course, it's not a Lin production until he puts himself back into the narrative. Philippa Sue and Renee Elise Goldsberry look adorable, and I saw Steven Schwartz back there. Y'all know what you were doing. So yeah, this was fun to watch. Check it out if you haven't already. an intimate, dreamlike, mesmerizing film I watched to end 2021. This film first came on my radar when Amanda the Jedi mentioned it in her Soul video. She compares the two since they deal with similar themes of a before life, though 9 days has to do more with judging souls than preparing them to live life on Earth. And I think that's the most information you need in order to see it.
So if you enjoyed Soul, definitely keep an eye out.
So I did. I saw it in theaters back in August. Actually did a double feature with the Suicide Squad by seeing that first, then hurrying to the opposite side of the theater to watch 9 Days. I watched it again on New Year's Eve, where I didn't have to deal with my mind focused on having to go to the bathroom during the last half hour, and trying my hardest not to cough because of this annoying tickle I had in my throat, like I did while sitting in the theater. In other words, I enjoyed myself a lot more on this rewatch. Though this movie takes place in a before life, not as ethereal, magical, or dare I say, animated as the one in Soul, but it's a house that is quite literally in the middle of nowhere. Where are we? Mindy St. Clair's? But the thing I noticed the most upon rewatch, aside from the spectacular cinematography, is the editing. When Will, a man who judges souls, individually explains the process of the selection to the contenders, it's cut as if they're all receiving the information at the same time. And it doesn't take as long as seeing each expository scene over and over. Or when Will asks a soul if they have any questions, and another soul asks one from a different time. I also love the atmosphere this movie presents. Like I said, it's dreamlike and calming, and just like Soul, it depicts beauty in the mundane. Applying lipstick, feeling the soft texture of a knitted sweater, or even smelling a book, feeling the sand between your toes, that kind of stuff. The performances are wonderful as well, which will most likely not be acknowledged by the Academy this year. Thanks, I hate it. Winston Duke, a stoic recluse who watches various lives of people on Earth through their POV. Zazie Beetz, an unborn soul with such electric energy who appreciates the small things in a life she has never lived. Benedict Wong and Tony Hale, who brings the perfect amount of levity in this otherwise melancholic and thought-provoking film.
Your mother makes cookies for your brother, but not for you. What do you do?
There's gonna be a delicious spit glaze on him, I'll tell you that much.
Seriously, go check this movie out. Like Amanda said, if you enjoyed Soul like I did, support this movie. It deserves it. Because I'm positive the Academy won't. Here we go, my favorite donghua film of 2021. Yep, even more than the sequel to Whitesnake. What was originally released in China back in 2019 has finally made its way to the US, and it is awesome. Cool action scenes, outstanding art direction, especially with the backgrounds, and man, this movie is funny. The comedic timing of this film is excellent.
Good morning, Master.
Hey, a cat demon is forced to leave his forest home after humans start tearing it down. Deforestation! Woo! And thus wanders around the modern world with humans, spirits, and demons. Yeah, you heard correctly, modern. You would expect with character designs like these, they would be from dynasties long ago, though they've probably lived that long. Yet here they are, out here using smartphones and gas stations. A lot of this is told during the first 7 minutes, which has very little dialogue. It's impressive. I'm pretty sure it's a crime to talk about this movie this much without even mentioning Xiaohei. Look at him! I'm gonna sob! It's such a simple design, but he's so freaking adorable. Aside from him absolutely being my favorite character, I also love Wuxian. I love stoic characters like him who can also kick butt, more strategic with his fighting technique than using brute force. Kind of like Azula. Well, most of the time. But it's amazing to see Wuxian and Hei become enemies to besties. It's not necessary to watch it before the film, but the movie The Legend of Hei is actually a prequel to a web series called The Legend of Luo Xiaohei. It premiered over a decade ago, yet has 40 episodes, all ranging from 5 to 12 minutes long each. I haven't watched the latest batch of episodes that came out last year, but check it out. They're all free to watch on YouTube with subtitles, and it doesn't take too long to binge.
黑同学。小黑。
马上是不可能的。为什么？因为没时间了。
This also means you should definitely watch the movie, though if you can, try to find the sub. The only places I found that stream it, Hoopla and Roku, were the dubbed version. I watched the dub for this video and it's fine, I guess. I much prefer the original voice actor for Hey.
我叫小黑。
I'm not a cat, I'm a spirit.
And I think a lot of the characters' names are literally translated from Chinese, or at least changed from English names. Wu Xian can be taken a bit more seriously than Master Infinity and Sky Tiger? Alright, just make sure the sub you find is legit. I watched a bootleg before its US release and a lot of the subtitles were grammatically incorrect. Mitchell's is my pick for the best animated feature, by a long shot. It's hilarious, if it's not obvious enough from half of my commentary of me laughing at the comedy, heartwarming, and beautifully unique with its art style. Though there are some minor flaws I have, like the movie is from the perspective of Katie, a Gen Zer, yet some of her jokes would appeal more to those of older generations like animal videos. And since this was directed by a Gravity Falls alum, I feel like Michael Rianda was trying to recapture the energy of a grown man voicing a 12-year-old, but I just think that works more successfully in Gravity Falls than Mitchell's. But anyway, the fact that Katie tried to contact Criterion to add the movie to their collection is absolutely iconic. Do it already, you cowards. If you haven't seen this movie yet, literally, what are you doing with your life? It's one of, if not the best animated film from this decade so far, and it's another promising step in the right direction for Sony Pictures Animation. Don't let me down across the Spider-Verse. Though I have more nitpicks with Mitchell's than this hidden gem of a film, I still prefer the former and would declare it as my favorite of this year. But I wanted to end this list more than just watch my other video, but wow, Little Fish. It's a movie about a pandemic that was released during a pandemic. Poetic, no? Though it's a memory loss virus similar to Alzheimer's, not Corona or Delta or Omicron or whatever it is now. Despite being filmed in 2018, it's scary how accurate it parallels the current state of the world with masks. The director Chad Hartigan pointed out that the male lead Jude unintentionally wore it correctly, clinical trials for a potential cure, tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists, how a pandemic can bring out the worst in people.
I want to go in. I don't care about anybody else. I'm talking about me.
This movie is specifically about a couple, Emma and Jude, who try to save their relationship before it's forgotten. We see them recall certain memories, either in first or third person.
What time of year was it?
Summer. No, winter.
And we see details around them change as they try to remember them accurately. When they're in first person, we see water droplets and sun glares block faces when details can't be remembered. It's some incredible amount of detail, not to mention the landmarks in this movie. There's an apartment building I didn't think would come back until it's brought up again, and I managed to remember it because of that red strip. It's little things like that you don't fully realize until your fourth viewing of the movie like me. Tiny parachutes that change color, the background behind Emma changing from what looks like a forest to a water park, and don't even get me started on the quote, "I was so sad the day I met you, I can't remember why." When I first watched this, I was really glad to discover that the composer of the film is Keegan DeWitt. I recognize that name from All the Bright Places, a movie I mentioned in last year's ranking video, and I pointed out how much I love the soundtrack. DeWitt returns with an even stronger score that's ethereal and just wonderful.
Spend the rest of my life with you. I want to fucking marry you. Yeah.
Emma and Jude themselves are an adorable couple you root for who have really cute chemistry.
Aunt Daisy's weeds.
Huh?
Aunt Daisy's weeds.
Oh, well, good to see you, and good night.
I'm kidding. Come here.
But also bring in this serious drama when the movie needs it. I mean, Jude makes a Titanic reference at one point, so of course I love him.
Emma, no!
Stop it. Stop. You're gonna get into trouble.
You jump, I jump!
I can't recommend this movie enough. Those 4 watches are from last year. I want to mention that my third watch was on October 14th, 2021, of course, the very day Emma and Jude got married. Chad Hartigan liked my review for it on Letterboxd, which I just think is awesome. So please, watch this movie. It's available to stream on Hulu. So I guess that's all I have to say. Thank you so much to everyone who has supported and watched my videos during my first full year of making them. I'm looking forward to making more this year, improving and hopefully growing. There's a number of films I'm looking forward to, and hopefully some will pop out of nowhere and surprise me. I hope you had a fun and safe New Year's, and let's pray 2022 will treat us kinder. Again, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please comment, like, and subscribe to support my channel, and I'll see you later.